I'm amazed how easily you can move such a giant shield around like it's nothing.
Really? It's not actually as heavy as it looks.
It's really reassuring to have someone like you protecting us, though.
You know, I guess I never realized it before, but looking back, I've always been the sort to put myself in harm's way to protect those around me, even before I joined the Eldermenancia Guard. So in a way, using this shield to keep you all safe feels like it's what I was meant to do.
You don't need to worry about protecting me. I don't plan on relying on you.
That's okay. It doesn't matter if you do or not. I don't protect people because they ask me to. I do it because I want to, and because I think it's the right thing to do. That goes for you too, dohalim.
Me?
Yes. You see, you and I both want the same thing. We have the same goal. That means it's in my best interest to continue to protect and keep you safe as well. Even now.
I'm not sure how much protecting I'll need either, but I appreciate the thought. I'm sure you'll do us proud, Kisara.
Right. You can all count on me.
What was Kelzalek even after in the end?
Isn't it obvious? Clearly he wanted the throne for himself, and was gonna have his goons execute Dohalim to get it.
He had to have known he couldn't hope to defeat a lord. He should have run while he had the chance, instead of holding himself up in the palace.
Maybe he thought he couldn't run? Either way, the outcome's the same.
So he got desperate and decided to go for broke?
One might argue that he was another victim of mine, in a sense.
Huh?
There is no greater calling in life to a Renin than the crown contest, yet I refused to take part. The shock he felt at that must have been truly immense, enough to drive him to revolt, even though doing so meant defying Renin hierarchy.
I know I've said this before, but Danins and Renins wouldn't coexist here if it wasn't for your stance.
But that was no lofty idealism on my part, nor do I feel any pride at what occurred.
Spare us the pity party. You literally just joined us to uphold those ideals.
Shion!
No, she is absolutely correct. I shall speak no more of my misgivings.
Just as well, I'm here to stop you.
Swallow dare! Here I come!
Mahag Sar. That makes 4 out of the 5 realms that I've visited now.
I wonder what kind of lord we're gonna find there.
It doesn't matter. If they try to get in our way, we'll take them down and that'll be that. All aboard the victory train!
Overconfidence can bite you in the butt.
A fish!
I didn't realize there was a pond here.
Yeah, this is Taka Pond, and it happened to have saved my life once upon a time.
What do you mean?
As a kid, I survived life under the past lords by escaping here when I needed to. It's terrible to swim in, but great for catching a bite for dinner away from Renin eyes. Bear in mind, our rations back then weren't enough to live off of. You had to take matters into your own hands if you wanted enough food to survive.
But how did you catch them? With your bare hands?
That might take a while. Fish are prone to swim away at the first sign of trouble. I'd put bait or a lure on a line and use it with a fishing rod. You must not be familiar with fishing if this sounds new. Here, let me show you how it's done. Where should I cast my line? Ha! Time to try a different spot. Yeah! There we go. Anybody could reel in that.
You sure know what you're doing.
And that's all there is to it.
Wow. It seems like you need to have good reflexes to catch anything. I don't know if it's really for me. Kisara? I think I've seen enough.
Oh, sorry. I guess I'm just in my own little world when I go fishing.
Looks like we're going to be here for a while.
That's how fishing goes. You wait for a bite, and then the real battle begins. Miguel told me that different fish live in different regions, and you have to pick the right rod and lure for what you're hoping to catch.
But that doesn't change the fact it's a giant time sink.
Of course, each fish has its own unique flavor, too. And some of them are supposed to be extremely delicious.
When you put it like that, maybe it's worth me trying my hand at fishing after all.
You're just in it for the food.
I was hoping we'd get to fish during our travels. And it just so happens I made sure to grab my brother's old rod before I left Vicente. So, if you ever feel like fishing when we've got a little downtime, just let me know.
Good to hear. Thanks for showing us.
Okay!
I'm always amazed what healing arts can do.
Just doing my job. No need to thank me.
Is it just me, or have those two barely spoken a single word to one another?
I know, right? But after everything that happened with Miguel, is it really any wonder?
Kinda puts a damper on the whole journey though, huh? How long do you think they're gonna keep this up?
If it bothers you that much, why don't you ask them?
Why do I have to ask?
How come you walk together like that?
She really doesn't beat around the bush.
You mean Kisara and myself?
You hadn't noticed? You've been practically joined at the hip ever since we left Vicente.
I guess it's force of habit, most likely. I was always ready to protect him, should the need arise. It sort of came with the job description.
Right. From being in the Elder Menancia Guard. Although, Dohalim's pretty capable of defending himself, isn't he?
Having guards doesn't necessarily mean the one being guarded is weak. No one's perfect all the time.
Even so, it's not like they're entirely wrong, Kisara. You're no longer in my employ, after all.
I don't know. I mean, if it's what she's used to and you're both comfortable with it, then who are we to judge?
But she doesn't serve him anymore. It isn't normal for her to keep following him around like she still does.
You know, she's probably right. And a lot has changed over the last few days. I guess it wouldn't hurt to rethink our relationship in light of the new circumstances. Perhaps I'll give it some thought after all. Does that sound all right by you?
Of course.
You might want to stop asking his permission for every little thing while you're at it.
Sorry. It's not that easy, shaking off old habits. I'll probably need a little time to get fully used to it. I've noticed that sometimes we come across enemies who fight like you, and try to dodge our attacks at the last second.
I hate those guys. I can get some hits in when they move into attack, but otherwise they slip past damn near everything else I throw at them.
If what you're seeking is a way to more reliably hit them, there is a solution.
Try to outclass them on reflexes?
I possess the ability to command Earth elemental beings to some extent. They emerge as the land itself and take root on my command. They will swiftly bind the enemies, at which point you can dispatch them.
Huh?
What he means is that he can make plants grow to hold the enemies in place. At least I think that's probably what he's saying.
I'm glad at least one of us understands him. So basically, if we find an enemy that likes to dodge, we should let Dohalim handle it.
I shall do what I can within my modest means to help. Something feels odd here. Be on your guard.
I just noticed none of you other Danans have spirit cores. Why is that?
Both of my parents were part of the resistance in Calaglia. In fact, my birth was kept a secret from the Renans.
Mine too. We always lived in hiding, so I never had a spirit core embedded in me like I was supposed to.
What about you, Alphen? You were a slave in Calaglia before all this, weren't you?
To be completely honest, I'm not sure why I don't have one. All the other Danan slaves around me did. I was the only exception. They tended to keep their distance from me to avoid attracting any attention from the soldiers, because of my mask and all. What about you, Kisara? Do you still have your spirit core?
No. I was able to find a good Renin doctor who's sympathetic to our kind, and had them remove it before I left. They did such a great job, the procedure didn't even leave a scar.
One of the benefits of coexistence, huh?
I know that once the spirit vessel was shut down, there wasn't much need for me to hurry. But still, I didn't like having that mark of servitude lingering on me any longer than I had to. It may sound a little strange to hear me say this, but I'm just me now. Not a guardsman or a slave. I'm my own woman. And this is my chance to have a new beginning.
We're in for a long slog with this one.
Blow away!
This one's mine. Tiger blade.
Airborne beast. My spec.
This one's mine.
They've got fires!
I've got this. Let a marksman handle it.
All yours! Here I come!
On guard. I can handle it.
Begin!
Far enough.
Dragon Swarm! You picked the wrong fight!
Leon, astral energy. Full throttle. Go! Dance in the wind.
Not a
Make it
chance.
rain.
Strike!
Light burst forth!
Radiant Genesis. You don't mess around.
You're mine!
Certainly not.
Go get it.
Blow away!
Dance in the wind.
Raining
Air
slash!
thrust. Light
Go
astral
anything
lightning
normal.
Thunderblade.
Don't get complacent.
This sure is one rugged road. You'd think they'd keep this at least a little better maintained, right?
Why spend energy fixing that which is rarely used? Repairs require time and effort, which in our world means slaves, often in great numbers. For you, it may be a simple request, but that can quickly become another's difficult burden. Nobody gains anything without someone expending effort.
And you know, somehow that someone always ends up being a Danon, while the Renins are the ones who gain.
True enough. Ideally, in a perfect world, I think it's only fair that the ones who need it should be the ones to perform the work.
However, when doing so could be dangerous like it is here, there are many who would prefer that it be others who risk their lives in their stead.
So, what you're saying is that people will just put up with the inconvenience until someone else comes along to fix it for them?
Indeed. And it is those who can no longer bear that feeling that inevitably take action. Much like the Danons in our group do so now. As strange as it may be to hear such a thing from the likes of myself.
It's true that most of the Danons in Calaglia have been resigned to just accepting things as they are. Still, we can't just blame them for...
What are you making that face for? You're not worn out already, are you?
Nah, just regretting I ever said anything in the first place.
All right.
There's nowhere to run from my heart.
When he slows down, that's our chance! You're mine! Tiger blade!
Leave the agile ones to me.
Tiger field!
Crescent moon.
My astral blade
Tiger blade.
In a bind?
Take this!
Elusive deity.
Dazzle! Lunaronga!
My astral blade
Rising Falcon!
This
You're
one's
mine!
mine.
Sleep now.
It's over!
I'll be
Like
safe.
it's spinning just
Can't get out of
watching you.
this!
Take this!
Leave the ensnaring to me.
Yeah, and the pummeling to me!
Lightning supernova!
Take this!
On guard. One more.
Strike!
Take
blade.
this!
You're mine!
Thunder field! Dance in the wind!
Blow away! Be
now.
still! You're
Tiger
mine!
blade! This one.
Take this! It's over!
Tornado Drive!
Tiger Blade!
I'll face you!
Going in!
Not so fast! Resonate with the earth!
Going in!
Take Dynamite!
Tiger Blade!
Can you take it?
Now!
Pounce it!
This ends now!
Consider yourself finished!
This one's mine!
Demon
I'll
Fang!
face you!
Double Demon Fang!
This one's mine!
Elusive Deity! Tornado Drive!
Tiger Blade!
Slush! Can you take it?
Rhythm Marksman! Double it!
Demon Fang!
Resonate with the earth! Stalagmite!
On guard!
Gale Force!
Be still!
My reach is even wider! You're mocked! In a bind! Begin!
Eater!
Not so fast!
Denied!
Finish it!
Shield!
Lock!
Demon's Descent! Flashing Bang!
Got some interesting moves there, Dohalim. I'm glad you're on our side.
I'm simply glad to hear that I can make myself useful to you all. Huh?
What's wrong?
We seem to have come across some rather unusual objects.
What, you mean that pile of garbage?
No mere garbage, I assure you. Still, I've never seen anything shaped like it before. I'm intrigued.
Are you curious about this stuff, Rinwell?
Yeah. I think he might have found some old Danon relics. They look like the remains of a bunch of objects that disappeared after the Renans first invaded.
And yet here I am, holding them without so much as a second thought. I imagine the sight must be unsettling to you.
Not really, just that it must be nice to be a Renan who has time to indulge in stuff like that, unlike the rest of us.
Are you interested in this stuff too, Dohalim?
Charmed may be a better turn of phrase. I simply love objects that can give me a sense of what their maker was thinking, the history that went into their creation. You see, we Renans have hardly any such objects that trace back to our distant past.
I still don't understand what you two find so intriguing about it, though.
Why not? We're talking about our own culture here.
I get that, but it's not like this stuff is any use now, does it? It's just old. Real old.
Oh, but it does. Holding it in your hands like this, one can feel and engage with the distant past in a way no history book can ever accomplish.
I'll take your word for it. Well, seeing as it's Danon history, just make sure you're careful with it. All right, Dohalim?
But of course.
Looky here!
Visibility along this path will remain limited for some time. Take care not to get ambushed.
Dohalim's fighting style is... what's the word I'm looking for? Subdued? No...
Do you mean elegant, perhaps?
Yeah, that's the word. For better or worse, you can definitely tell he's cut from posh Renin cloth.
And he's not just skilled with the staff either. He can also use astral arts, including healing ones. I can see how he made it to the position of a lord.
You flatter me, but my fighting techniques merely come from a style that aims to conserve energy by minimizing body movement.
Is that why you wait until the last second before you dodge attacks? To avoid unnecessary movements?
No, I do that to sharpen my senses. I find that doing so is an effective means of drawing out my innermost strength.
Oh yeah, I've noticed you look stronger and strike out with your rod more after you dodge attacks. Guess that's why.
Still, it's a risk. Don't you ever worry you'll dodge at the wrong moment?
Then, it'll be just as well.
Huh?
It's nothing. Let us continue.
What's this thing?
This one will be difficult to predict.
No escape!
Here goes!
Take this!
Not on my watch!
It's over!
It's like trying to keep up to the wolf! Where that came from? Raging hurricane!
freaks! What if they just sit still?
Seal, can you take care of them?
No sooner said than done!
Perhaps sound is more appropriate.
Less talking and more doing. No raging
Destruction! Eternal devastation! Lunar
Get
Rondo!
on in there with the others!
Right here! I got you!
Here I come!
Let me at it!
Stop!
Thunder Field! Come on! Going in!
Eternal
One
devastation!
at a time!
It's on! Rising
Right!
fire!
Dance in the
No
wind!
escape!
Air thrust!
Rising falcon!
Photon blast!
Here I come!
I'll show you just how strong my arts
over.
really are!
Take this!
That's it!
Thrust!
Get it! One last raging
And you take this!
Can you take it? Now. That's it!
An astral art?
That's my cue!
Shut him down!
This one! Banana! Let's go!
Make it right!
Kisara! Commander of Heaven!
Phoenix Cyclone!
Get him!
Yeah! Nice technique!
Feel!
I'm not done!
On guard!
Get you out of the way!
Destruction! Try this!
More where that came from!
This one's mine!
Raging cascade!
Destruction!
In here!
This one's mine!
It's over!
Tiger
Here
Blade!
I come! Lunar Rondo!
Benediction light.
Going in!
Mirage!
Thunder Field!
Tiger Blade!
Alright! It's now!
Dragon Swarm!
Go for it!
Prepare to crumble!
Raging
Going
cascade!
in!
Now we're not...
That's it! Spread! Tiger
Blade!
to the wind!
Blow
Air
away!
thrust!
This should come in handy when crafting weapons.
Brace yourself! This one's tough! Take this! Stop! On your raining slash! Flew away!
I'm so good with airborne charges!
Lunar Rondo! You're mine!
Pesky airborne scoundrel.
Sounds like a job for yours truly!
Denied!
Air thrust!
Burn!
Light astral dance to the wind! Sleep now!
Rising Wyvern!
This one's mine!
Make it rain!
You're mine!
Rinwell! Light burst forth!
Radiant Genesis! You don't mess around!
Going in!
Certainly not.
Here I come! It's over!
In here!
Air pressure!
I never miss! Get on Tiger Blade!
Here I come!
Dance to the wind! Air thrust!
Thank you for that.
Eternal devastation!
Let's get back in!
On your rending slash! I'm ready!
Going in!
Blow them away!
Going in!
Here I come! It's over!
Not so fast. My exploits are bearing fruit.
It's so hilly around here. I can feel my feet getting blisters.
That's mountain hiking for you. It can be pretty tough if you're not used to these sorts of trails.
I take it you're comfortable with them then?
Oh yeah.
This one's tough! It's over! This one's all mine!
Look sharp!
More for the stockpile!
You're mine!
Can you take it?
The jewel of the arc!
Look sharp!
We natural energy!
Benediction light.
Leave the enemy's arc to me!
Too much.
No complaint here!
If it's in the sky, it's mine! Not in your dreams!
Everlasting darkness. Negative gate.
Lightning orb! A banana, let's go!
Rising Falcon!
Stay calm.
Seal!
Provide us with more.
Let's get you out of the way!
Denied!
Resonate with the earth. Stalagmite.
Lightning orb! Now!
Take this!
Raging here goes! This one's mine! We managed to turn the tide!
Rage.
For now. But things could shift at a moment's notice.
You're right. Better stay alert.
Everlasting
Going in! Alright, it's showtime!
It's on!
Going in!
Eternal
To the wind!
devastation!
Air
You're
thrust!
mine!
Tiger blade!
You're finished! Dragon Swarm!
This one's mine! That's
Dance
it!
in the wind! Tiger blade! Air thrust!
Shield!
This one's got your name on it!
Action to action.
I've still got a ways to go!
It'll take more than that to break my shield!
Dependable
Like
blade.
moths to the flame! Look sharp!
Dragon Swarm!
Any more of this and I'll burn out.
I can do this all day!
You're finished!
Hit!
The enemy wields arcs too.
You'll soon see about that! Lightning orb! Thunderblade!
Here I come!
Now!
Remember!
Astral energy!
Say no more! Got it!
Well done!
Take this!
Negative gate. In a bind.
Here I come! Crush!
This one's mine! Look sharp!
Take this!
You're
finished!
I'm ready! Tiger blade!
Kisara! Commander of Heaven!
Phoenix Cyclone!
Here I come!
Tiger blade! Here goes! Not on my watch!
Take this.
Take this! It's over! Eternal
Resonate with the
devastation!
Lightning orb! Raging
Rising
cascade!
Phoenix!
On your knees.
Spread!
You're
Dance
mine!
in the wind!
It's over!
One more! Air thrust!
This should do
This
it!
one's
Take
mine!
this! You're
Make it
finished!
rain!
Shield.
This one's got your name on it!
Action to action.
My concentration is dwindling. Perhaps I'm tired.
I've got a really bad feeling about this.
You're mine!
Far enough!
Begin.
Here I come! It's over!
Now you see what I can do. Take it.
You're mine!
I shall ensure you survive
Is that
this.
a healing art?
Damn it! Too fast!
Stand back. I'll trip it up.
No escape! Burn!
I'm gone!
Eternal devastation!
Nico!
Stay away from my friend!
I thought you were going to wreck the place.
I'm not nearly finished yet.
Then I'll provide assistance.
Coming through! Ha! Now! Scarlet Inferno!
From beyond,
imbue the
dragon with life.
I can't hold on much longer!
Incantation ruin.
Let's get you all out of the way!
Negative gate.
Is this some punishment?
Piercing roar!
On guard.
Light astral energy!
This one's mine.
Dance in the wind! Ready!
Shot.
Light astral... On my watch!
You made me angry. That was a bad idea.
Shattering the pieces.
I'm ready to
I
go.
can't feel anything!
Come on. You have to hold on. Piercing roar.
Here I go! I'm only getting on fear! Pierce evil!
Going in.
Free blazer!
Tiger blade.
There! This one's mine! I never miss!
The power of light.
This!
All right. Guess I had to use it.
It's over!
He's such a failure.
It's over! Think again!
Look sharp. Ready to go.
Flare tornado!
On guard. Look sharp.
Flame of
That's
fury!
it.
Burning strike! Water! Hear my call!
Flaming meteor.
Red!
Look sharp. That's it.
Lunar
Look sharp.
corruption!
One
Lunar
more.
blast!
Denied. Tiger blade. I'll take you all on. Ha! Flare demolisher.
Knowing when we're in too deep is necessary to survive.
We may tend to push ourselves a little too hard.
We should be able to cook here. Why are you looking at me like that?
That armor you wear is standard issue for the Menancian Guard, right?
Originally, I've added some flair to it in a lot of places.
I noticed, especially with that open back.
We guardsmen pride ourselves on never showing our back to our enemies. It's my way of making myself live up to that. Plus, it makes it that much lighter and easier to maintain.
Dohalim, do you have anything to say about this?
Every guardsman is allowed to wear their armor as they see fit.
And you, La?
Huh? Why are you asking me?
That was nothing.
Dohalim, care if I hang out for a while? You worried about what's going on with Menancia?
What makes you think that?
Well, you were speaking to Kisara earlier, weren't you?
It's rude to listen in on others you know.
Sorry. I didn't hear what you two were actually talking about, though. I just figured it was Menancia since it was the two of you.
I am but a former lord who has abandoned his post. I'm no longer in a position to lead the realm in any capacity whatsoever. Yet Kisara still seeks out my opinions, knowing full well that is the case. This despite the fact I am no longer her master either.
Couldn't it be precisely because you're not her master anymore? It's natural for friends to want to hear each other's opinions.
I hadn't considered that possibility.
It's funny what you miss sometimes.
Hardly uncommon among artistic types such as myself. When lordships are decided based solely on one's astral energy, it can lead to funny results.
But even so, you still took your job as Lord seriously, didn't you?
Certainly. I learned to perform my functions. However, I was less interested in ruling, so much as avoiding life and death decisions. Of course, such a mentality in the end led only to sickening pain and death taking place elsewhere out of sight. I pretended not to see or hear any of it, content to let our supposed peace and equality keep me blind and deaf to reality. I was a fool.
But you're making amends.
I would like to think so. The path ahead is dark, yet I still walk on. I merely pray that I shan't fall down any holes along the way. We'd best get ready for tomorrow. Shall we get moving?